Welcome to Leading the Way podcast, where you'll learn neuroscience-backed ways to lead more effectively and have more fun at work with what you already have. Hey there, and welcome to Leading the Way. I'm so excited to have another awesome conversation today with my friend Dena. Dena, thank you so much for being on Leading the Way.
You're welcome, Chris. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, so excited. And I want to tell folks a little bit about you because, of course, you know about you, I know about you, but they don't yet. So let me let folks know about you a little bit. Dena has done some amazing work for over 25 years in sales success, leadership development, and mindset transformation. She's a former physician's assistant and continues to advocate for, get that word out this morning, and educate on holistic health and wellness. Her practice incorporates individual deep dive coaching, group masterminds, workshops, and retreats. She believes your best life begins in your mind. Dena, so excited to have you again. And, we talked a little bit before we jumped into the show and recording here that you've got your own journey, leadership journey, where, you wanted to run, but instead you stayed. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So many of us are in situations where we're sort of arrived at a location in life, whether it's I'm in corporate, I'm an entrepreneur, or I'm in corporate thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, or I'm in medicine, or I'm in healthcare, or just something. And then you've arrived somewhere and you're questioning yourself. And so the story that I'm sharing today is I switched gears from being a practicing physician assistant to choosing to stay home with my children. And then I sort of evolved into this direct sales leadership area, right? And upon arriving, I thought, oh, this is great. And oh, I can do it myself, and I can do it myself, and I can do it myself. And what I realized after about 2, 3, 4 years in is like, yeah, no, you can't do it yourself.
Yeah.
You cannot do it alone. And therein lies, the biggest question I faced was, can I lead? Can I lead others? And what was happening was I was stumbling. I was falling. I was stumbling. I was retreating. I was in a very, very dark place. And I thought, you know what? I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of times our MO, like it's uncomfortable. I'm going to leave.
Right.
I'm going to jump. I'm going to leave my marriage. I'm going to leave my relationships. I'm going to numb out from being the mom that I need to be with my kids because it's hard.
Right.
I'm going to sort of numb out and, in the corporate world, whatever, in my marriage, whatever, and I'm going to leave. Somehow we're running. And so the story that I'm sharing with you is I had this epiphany one day. I forget where I was, but the voice was so loud, and the voice basically said, stay. The voice was, and at that time I was moving away from Catholicism. I was moving away from religion, per se, dogmatic religion, liturgical religion per se.
Yeah.
And I was becoming way more spiritual, and I was doing far more meditation and far more, interconnected conversation with my higher power, God. That's kind of what I call it. And that was the message that was coming to me, is stay. And I'll also share this story. For whatever reason, we all have, favorite numbers. Do we not? We all have
Absolutely.
favorite numbers in our lives. And my favorite number turned out to be 4610. I don't know why. 46 was a great number. And then 10, my birthday is 1010. So I always loved it. And 4 + 6 is 10. So it's like beautiful, beautiful the way that the harmony of that always was for me.
Yeah.
And I remember at that time that I was looking to run. A very good friend of mine who is a pastor at a church in Lexington, Kentucky, said to me, I mentioned the 4610, and I don't know why we were talking about it, but he said, do you know that the Psalm 4610 states, be still and know that I am God.
Wow.
And it was like mind blowing. And so anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about what the heck do you do when you're still? Like,
Yeah.
what do you do? It really kind of evolved into this whole leadership idea that I had of leadership of one and then leadership of others. And
Right.
so basically that's the story. And I had to force myself to be still and trust and have faith and and to learn more and to go deeper into my own journey.
Yeah, Dina, I love that. That's so powerful, and I think everyone can make the mistake, myself included, in the past and sometimes now is when we run, we leave the things behind, but really those things come along with us, right? And if we're not careful, I used to joke with my wife, like, got this big trailer behind you, the car, right? That's coming along with you. If
So
you
true.
don't deal with it, it's going to come around. And even if you do deal with it, it is a part of you. You got to work that stuff through. But for you, I'm curious, and that's that time where you did stay in that 4610. Um, there were some things to deal with, right? And
Mhm.
you also, I think, shared that that paid off for you. What
Yeah.
sort of shifts happen?
So here's the other thing. We don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And I had to get some mentors to help me through that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that a lot of people avoid that.
Mm.
And had I had a mentor, like a trusted mentor sooner, a lot of things would have been different in my life. But timing is all perfect. And I
Right.
got some really amazing mentors, whether it was in the form of a coach, I did get a coach, and in the form of an actual human coach, or books
Mm-hmm.
from masters. I mean, Doug Conant for me was leadership, 101.
Yeah.
I'm trying to even think, even Patrick Lencioni, like leadership, how do you lead in an environment where there's so many different personality styles, and direct
Yeah.
sales, if anyone knows anything about direct sales, we're volunteers. Everybody's a volunteer, really. Everybody works for themselves. They're all in their own silo. It's
Yeah.
probably the hardest thing to lead because
Yeah.
it's like herding cats. Everybody's doing their own life and they all want a side gig and they don't believe they need help. Anyway, that was really challenging. So I went deep and got some help from masters in the corporate world,
Mm.
masters in spiritual scenarios. I needed to face some demons for my own spirituality. I
Mm-hmm.
needed to face some demons from my past, which is where my coach came in, my life coach came in. Um, my childhood. And since then, I have not stopped. So since then, I have not stopped going deep. Since then, I
Nice.
have not stopped being assessing, if you will, where am I taking a pulse check on myself, on my own leadership, self leadership, and then on how I lead others. And I'm still growing and learning. And I think that's the best part of the journey.
Absolutely. And it sounds like that resilience has given some, I'm putting words in your mouth, sorry, but is given some comfort, right? Instead of that anxiety and having to run away from a thing,
Mhm.
you can be comfortable being right in it, knowing that you can find the help you need and move forward. I know I put words in your mouth, but is that
No,
partially
I mean
true?
it's true. It's resourcefulness. It's
Yeah.
truly resourcefulness. And courage. Those are the
Yeah.
two things if you had the ingredients. And it was interesting after that year that I did the bulk of that work, the following year my income increased by $100,000, by six figures.
Nice.
And it has
Nice.
continued to do that since. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's a magical thing when you let go, take your hands off the wheel, find solace in faith, and go deep in yourself and do that self-leadership thing.
Yeah.
You open up the channels to be your best self. You open up the channels to be able to lead people to get their best self up and out.
Yeah.
I think that's where the money is. That's the money tree.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's where it grows.
Yeah, it's where it
Um,
grows,
you
how it
know,
grows.
you started on this and I'd love to dig into this a little bit more. You talked about being a leader and it sounds like you show up really authentically and even being vulnerable. And not every leader starts that way. We can think we have
Right.
to put on like this suit of armor and be impenetrable and strong and perfect. And, honestly, parents, we can do that too,
Yep,
right?
for sure.
That we have to show up perfect. And that's what a leader is. And there is a place and time for that, although it's a small percentage, I would argue, right? If we're in, sadly, a time of war or something like that, and those extremes, okay, we can talk how command control is really important. But
Yeah,
the other 99.99% of the time, I think vulnerability plays a role, and it sounds like that's been your experience as well.
totally. I went head first into Brene Brown's work of vulnerability,
Yeah,
um, because I really thought, and a lot of times I was in my masculine. So in order to build things, I was living in the masculine energy. And
Hmm.
I believed, just like what you're saying, I believed that you had to have, thick skin and you couldn't show any tears and you couldn't be vulnerable. And what I realized was I was not building any bridges.
Mm.
I was not building, and vulnerability is the bridge, maker
Yeah.
between you and that person.
Right.
Vulnerability finds the commonality, the common ground,
Hmm.
where you actually allow others to see you as human. And you can do it with humor, you can do it with sincerity, you can do it in a lot of different ways. But find your way to be
Yeah.
vulnerable, to tell a story. I also took, took to heart the whole concept of telling stories.
Yeah.
I was just telling, like,
Yeah.
like I was sort of directing, if you will,
Pushing out. Yeah.
pushing out knowledge, pushing out like, this is how you do this. And I was writing at the time, it was great because I was writing a lot of training. I
Hmm.
was writing a lot of how-tos, diagnostics, if this, then this.
Right.
I was setting up my coaching protocol, and that was powerful then. But once you have all that, you still have to tell a story.
Yeah.
You still have to tell a story.
Right.
This is another great story. I used to row when I was at Lafayette, my freshman year,
Okay.
and I was in the best shape of my life, and it was an 8-woman crew team,
Wow.
and I was way in the back because of how short I am, and we traveled down to Florida, and we actually got the chance during spring break to row with the 88 Olympic kayakers.
Wow.
And what was so powerful about that was, if anyone's ever rowed or anyone's ever watched it, obviously you're seeing the boat, you're seeing everybody rowing in time, and keeping in
Hmm.
step. The most beautiful thing about it was when all 8 of us were in sync, and this is the epitome of leading a team. When
Hmm.
we were all in sync, nobody had nobody was a captain. No, we were all identical. Okay. And we were all moving at the same pattern. And
Mm.
when that happens, the boat actually lifts up out of the water
Wow.
and glides along the water. And we were able to see that way better when we were watching the Olympic kayakers,
Yeah.
versus us, going at it. But we took, a handful of trophies as well, in our centennial division. But the point is I talk about that all the time with my team, is like, when we're in sync, we're one beating heart. We can
Hmm.
lift, we can elevate, the energy elevates, and then we can just go farther, faster.
No, 100%. 100%. Such a beautiful analogy too. As you were talking, something just popped in my little brain. Right now in our country, in our world, we have a lot of conflict. And I could argue that we've got a little bit of a leadership crisis, right? And some of that is folks in hard times maybe not showing up fully, or stepping into that scary stuff. The other is this is the time that you get to really build those skills and the leadership's really needed. Like those are amazing opportunities, as challenging as it is, and maybe leaders aren't showing up, certainly in the political realm, and who knows if they ever show up there, but
Mm-hmm.
in other realms as well,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
In our families, leadership of ourselves, leadership of our kids, leadership at our work, not as strong and as powerful as it's been. Any reflection or perspective from you, one way or the other,
Sure.
around that? Are you seeing a
Um,
decline or a difference around leadership?
No, I'm feeling very hopeful.
Okay.
I think people are at the verge of the tipping point. Thank you, Malcolm Gladwell.
All right.
I think we're at the tipping point, and I'm gratified with what I'm noticing in my own coaching practice and my own, team, and this and that, because people have had enough.
Yeah.
People have had enough. And what I teach is there are always 2 voices inside your head, always. And one is the ego, and
Hmm.
one is the true self.
Yeah.
And the ego tends to be imprinted from childhood. And it's sort of reliving an old pattern, wants to keep us in the past, wants to keep us stuck. And so
Right.
what I get people to do is understand the difference, what it sounds like, who's talking, who's
Mm.
directing. Who's
Mm.
directing right now in the political sphere is the egos. It's been like that for decades.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about ego is ego wants to encourage other egos to play.
Mm.
So my work is to get people into self-truth and what is true for them, and what do they resonate with in terms of what are their values, their beliefs. How can we break the old patterning and bring out the new stuff, right? That's going to make sense for a human, whether it's a mother, whether it's a corporate person, whether it's a business owner, whether it's a wife
Hmm.
or a husband. We've got to find the truth, what their truth is, and it's muddied. And that's what we're facing, globally. Things are muddied.
Yeah.
If through this work, if you can figure out, that's why I call it leadership of one. If you could figure out the truth, your truth, and let the truth direct you more,
Mm.
you will know when an ego is trying to seduce you into playing with it.
Right.
You will know when that's what the running actually is saying. You don't know what to do. You want to run away from this scenario.
Yeah.
But that's not the truth. You don't have to run. You don't have to run.
Nice.
What was fascinating was I was not liking myself.
Mm.
At the moment I wanted to run because I was being seduced into playing that ego game.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. Everybody has been seduced into, we don't like ourselves. We know better, but
Right.
we're just not doing better.
Right.
But we're right there. We are right there cosmically, globally, nationally, regionally, and in the heart, in the human, each individual. I think it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great perspective. I love it. I'm curious for folks that are interested, they're as they should be, and being able to stay in happiness. We're not talking about staying in abuse here, just to be clear for folks
Oh, no.
listening, right?
Mm-mm.
That's a totally different world. But and again, those are extremes. But for most of us, it's really truly not a situation where it's that. It's we've got some choices. You said so well, we've got childhood things that are guiding us, and some of them I laugh at because just like we don't want to be questioned about parenting for most parents, like, don't tell me how to parent. The same thing can happen for leadership. Don't tell me how to lead. It's like the same energy. But the moment we're able to break that down a little bit and soften that and listen, and as you said so well, ego and self, and know that can really move the dial. You talked about financial gains. That's
Totally.
one measure, but not being so stressed is like a priceless
Mm,
measure.
totally.
Enjoying our time here. So what I'm getting to is how would folks engage with you, Dina? What's the best way for them to reach out and work
So the
with
best
you?
way I think is to get to know me, either social media wise, but even on my website, I have several podcasts in there, interviews, testimonials. My website is denabcoaching.com. But if you go there, if you go there, you can sign up for a discovery call.
Okay.
It's a simple half hour of time where I get to hold space for you, hear where you are in your world, and kind of give you some guidance during that call, but also map out what it could look like to work together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's so important to do. And I know some people get frightened by those because there's been sadly some bad actors that use those calls to do scammy things. And this is not a scammy
Mm,
thing. This
no,
is
no,
someone that's very heartfelt that wants to serve you. And if it's a fit, it's a fit. You talk about it. And if
and
not,
we
it's
do.
not. And it's low pressure.
And
So
I can tell. I can
yeah,
tell when someone's ready,
right. Right.
because you
It
have to
does
be
no
ready.
service to take someone who's not ready for
Nope.
anyone, right?
Mm-mm.
Or not a fit, right?
Right.
There's all kinds of puzzle pieces out there, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's not a
And
fit.
I also would say, take a look at the reviews. I think the Google reviews that pop up from on my website, I think, and even around on Google searching, really capture the essence, like paint a really good picture, thankfully, of what is real about coaching with me. I'm like, we're not walking through the tulips. Let's put it
Right.
that way. We're doing stuff. I kind of called myself a mind surgeon.
Nice.
So like we're going in there. And the other cool part is recently, for the last 12, 13 years, I've been doing most of my coaching from the neck up, meaning
Mm.
we work primarily with thoughts and how those thoughts play out in
Mm-hmm.
language.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm adding how that talks to the body even more. So I'm getting back into the whole holistic concept of, mind body connection, And
Right.
so that's even more profound. I mean, like mind-blowing profound. So it's really exciting.
Nice. I love it. I love it. You know, two things before we close out. I could talk for hours and hours with you. You're lovely to chat with. One is, are there complementary things around the coaching you provide that you recommend? Like I would imagine fitness and diet, do those come into play at all? Or
Well, that's a great question.
yeah.
Yeah, so because I'm a holistic, I approach it holistically. I will do an assessment to see where people are in all the aspects, 8 or 9 aspects of their life.
Mm,
And that kind of it directs me to going to that particular place. However, I always know, like I'll give you an example, a story. I had a physician want to hire me to help her lose weight.
mm,
And so, on the face of that, that was okay, weight loss,
right.
food, nutrition, what have you. But in the beginning of working with me, at least for 3, 4 weeks, we are talking about the past. We are talking about stuff so that I understand the fabric of the person.
Yeah.
In the first 2 weeks, she lost 7 pounds, and we didn't talk about food or nutrition at all. What we
Wow.
did was we faced her relationship with her mother.
Mm,
And she told me very unequivocally that her whole relationship with food changed when she was able to go back into the dark spot, that dark area.
right.
Totally changed.
Wow.
Totally changed. So I will always go back to the past and really uncover what those micro traumas or major traumas were. And then
Hmm.
we work through those. And then we get to food, nutrition, hydration, oxygenation. I go in, I take people into a meditative state many times.
Right.
I have a lot of clients that, and it's in particular women, men too, but in particular women who cannot feel.
Wow.
I've had clients who, for 7 weeks, they cannot get into an identification of what they're really feeling and where they're
Wow.
feeling it in their body. Yeah. It's either I'm happy or I'm not. It's usually one of just two things. Like they don't have the whole like panel of all the feelings that they could be feeling and where they could be feeling them in their body because they've numbed out.
Wow.
They've numbed out.
Wow.
So
It's like the one word answer to how are you? That's a whole other podcast episode, right?
Well,
Fine.
if you watch my videos on Instagram and Facebook and whatnot, I talk about the toxic words like I'm fine,
Yeah.
or but try, I try, I'm trying. Like all those words are just put a ceiling, a cap on. They're part, they're used to numb.
Yeah.
If I'm fine, nobody will pursue further.
Right.
They won't need to go deeper. And I won't need, me personally, as a leader of one, I won't need to go deeper either if I
Mm,
call myself fine.
yeah.
It's so damaging.
Yeah. It's so true. Uh, Dina, so lovely having you on. Before we close out at least this conversation, I always love to know from my guests, what's something you're grateful or thankful about today?
Um, well, first of all, I'm thankful for you, my friend. You have been an inspiration. I have watched you for now several years since we were in the program that we were in before. And
Yep.
I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that you actually face very challenging things with a light heart and a great spirit. You're very inspiring. And I thank you also for allowing me to share me here.
Wow. Thank you back. That's very kind of you. I wasn't expecting that one. Dina, lovely having you on. I'm sure we'll chat again here and other places, and really encourage friends listening, new and old. It's if this is a fit for you, if you're struggling with stuff, if you're running away, if you want someone who's the real deal, I recommend checking out Dina. There'll be stuff in the show notes as well. So if you're jogging or on your commute, please be safe. You can pull over later and check those
That's
stuff out in the
it.
show notes.
That's it.
And really recommend you connect with Dina. Dina, thank you so much for being on Leading
Thank
the
you,
Way.
Chris.
You
Bye,
bet.
everybody.
Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to Leading the Way podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss other great episodes like this one. And if you're ready for more in your workplace, be sure to go to aintent.com You'll find lots of free tools, assessments, and ways to engage directly with us to get your own epic results. We'll see you there.